Okay, so in my English class, we started to read a story called Turn of the Screw. If this wasn't for class, then I would call this story f***ing stupid, because it's pretty stupid. What is it about, though, you say, my little trugs? Well, I'm going to give you the footnotes of this story. I should probably mention that if you're watching this because you find me entertaining for some reason, then there are going to be spoilers ahead for this story and The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is on Netflix, because that story is like a adaptation of this story, but whatever. So, the story starts out with some random people telling scary stories, as you do, until one guy was like, yo, I got a story better than all of y'all. And then everyone was like, all right, boy, tell it then. And the dude was like, I mean, yeah, but like, I don't remember it off the top of my head, and I have a copy of it, but like, give me a week, let me get it. And then, everyone justifiably was like,
Shut your
but also, this was like the 1800s, so they didn't have anything else to do other than kill whales for oil and ignore non existent child labor laws. So they all came back like a week later, and the dude brought the story. Now, I'm going to spoil the end right here. He doesn't have the full story. The full story was lost between the story being written and the story being given to this dude in the first place, which is a pretty stupid thing to hype up a story that isn't finished, but whatever. This is just the intro. We aren't supposed to know that yet. I don't think they actually tell us ever. Whatever. We're not here to talk about how crap this dude is at hyping up the whole squad. We're here to talk about how crap the story he chose to hype up the squad with actually was. There's really only 6 characters that actually matter in this story, and only one of them is well written. First, let's talk about the governess. No, she doesn't have a name, just go with it. This story is told from the perspective of this absolute trash can. I'll explain while I'm telling the story why she is such a trash can. She's pretty smart, all things considered, but also she's a simp and an absolute crazy person for some dude known as the uncle. The uncle is a piece of crap. We hear no dialogue from him other than him saying, listen, I don't care what happens in this house, don't call me. And the fact that apparently he looks good and only hires governesses who he finds quote unquote easy on the eyes. That part may have not been true because we heard it from Miss Gross. Mrs. Gross is somehow the dumbest of all of them, despite there being a 7 and 10-year-old in the cast. She doesn't do much throughout the story, and honestly, calling her an important character doesn't really seem right to me. To me, she kind of feels like a tutorial to the house for the governess for most of the story, and only really snaps back at her, calling her insane near the end. Back in the day, I got it, I guess, the whole class system thing, but still, lady, what a team Blair. I did mention the younglings a little bit ago, so here's Flora, the 7-year-old. She's okay. She tells the governess off near the end of the movie, so good points off for her. Can't really think of things she's done other than vibe and lie for her brother. Speaking of her brother, meet Miles, placed up there with the top 10 list of best 10-year-olds. This kid's an absolute G. He doesn't care about anything. He's introduced with he was expelled from his school. He uses the next few chapters to slowly drive the governess insane. This kid left the house in the middle of the night and came back and just being like, yeah, I did that. What are you going to do about it? This kid's a baller, and I respect him for punking the governess the way he did. Now, the ghosts. Miss Jessel and Peter Quint actually, yeah, they're the most important ghosts, honestly. They're basically the same character as the rest of the ghosts, and there's only like one other ghost, I'm pretty sure. But those are just the most important names for the ghost side. They're really just there to scare the piss out of the governess and hang out with the kids, apparently. Originally, they were hanging out in the house before the governess. I think Quint died from being drunk outside a pub, but honestly, I don't care enough to go back and find out. So, the governess meets everyone and gets herself settled after a few days. She's seeing some dude being weird by a window or something. The day after that night, I wasn't really paying attention. She told Miss Gross about it, and Miss Gross was like, wait, what do they look like? And the governess was like, it sort of looked like his name was Peter. You know anyone like that? And Miss Gross was like, yeah, but that dude's been dead for a while now, so... Yeah, then they freak out about it, but then never mention it again. As you do when you mention dead people. Miss Gross also mentions just how terrible of people Miss Jessel and Peter actually were back in the day. Like, for real, she did not like these people at all and only dealt with them because of the whole class system thing I mentioned a little bit ago, but whatever. A lot of ghost hijinks happens, and then after a little bit, this one is the most important to me, honestly. I think the only ones I really find important are the ones I was actually paying attention to, but who am I? Anyway, some stuff happens, and we get to meet Miss Jessel, who's just hanging out with Flora by the lake. The governess sees this and does what any sane person does and watches to see if Flora acknowledges Miss Jessel's existence. Now, I'm not from the 1800s, and I can't be trusted within 100 feet of a kid. So I don't know how babysitting works, but I'm pretty sure if someone I don't know is near the kid that I should be protecting, then I should probably at least ask them what's up. Like, really, ghost or not, that's just bad babysitting. But whatever, it's the 1800s. The past is a different country, you know? Like, advance the plot or whatever, I don't care. There's a point where Miles is doing his thing, carrying the whole story on his back, when the room starts to shake and he starts laughing. Like, screaming laughing. I'm talking like he was like top of his lungs kind of laughter. In front of the governess while she's just freaking out over the whole, room shaking and stuff. Thinking the ghosts are pissed or something. At least that's what she's thinking, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Miles just doesn't care. She's definitely gone crazy at this point. I'm speeding through the story, by the way. I'm skipping a lot and just mentioning the things I find interesting and I was actually paying attention to. Anyway, some more stuff happened, and Miss Gross, the governess, and Flora ended up outside by the lake I mentioned before. They're just kind of vibing until the governess looks across the lake and sees Miss Jessel's ghost again. And then she just snaps, pretty much yelling at Flora like, "You know you're seeing that ghost over there. Don't even play with me, little girl." And Miss Gross looks at her and looks at where she's pointing and is just like, "Yo, you tripping, like goddamn." And then Flora looked at it and then was like, "Yo, you tripping, like goddamn, get out of my face." So she and Miss Gross just left. Like straight up, they just left. It's almost the end of the story, yeah, but like they just kind of dipped. Honestly, I wish I could do the same. So Miles and the governess are the only ones left in the house now. Hi, Miss.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you're in here.
It's cool. So yeah, Miles and the governess are just chilling in the room. I'm not sure which room at the time of writing this, I just spoiled the ending for myself. And she's just like, "Hey, Miles, you're safe now, don't worry." And then Peter's ghost appears in the window and probably says like boo or something, but we couldn't hear him because the window was closed. And the governess hugs Miles. Apparently, this hug was so terrible that Miles straight up just died. Like right there. And then the story ends. Right there. Kill off a character and then done. Nothing happens. It just stops. We don't even get to hear like the people at the beginning or anything. It just stops. It low-key pissed me off, whatever. So yeah, that's what happened. Now, for the question that my teacher forced me to ask myself, what happened in this story? Well, what do I think happened anyway? I personally believe the ghosts were fake and the governess is absolutely insane. She was going insane that things aren't happening. Miles is being a prick, but that's just Miles being a prick, That's just Miles. Flora is Miles' sister, so anything Miles is down for, Flora's probably down for too, since they don't have the kind of relationship of at each other's throats like most siblings do. But what about Miles laughing when the room was shaking? Pretty simple, actually, it wasn't shaking. The ghosts really don't change the world around them throughout the story, like any part other than that. So I just found it really weird that they did do that only once. So I'm pretty sure the governess just kind of hallucinated the room shaking, and Miles was just laughing at her because, that'd be pretty funny. Like, imagine you're a 10-year-old. You're seeing your babysitter just freak out over nothing. That's pretty funny to me. I don't know, I might just be a terrible 10-year-old. But anyway, how did she describe Peter almost perfectly? Okay, listen. Look at these two people right here. And now tell me, if you were in the dark, mentally unstable, and tired, you'd be able to tell these two people apart. Sure, it's a stretch that someone who looks exactly like Peter Quint walked by, but it's also a stretch that two ghosts have been haunting this house for weeks and only started showing up when the governess showed up. Yeah, no, I don't believe that. But how did Miles die? I'm pretty sure Miles died because the governess killed him. Like, I'm pretty sure it was just straight up murder right there. No ghosts or anything. The governess just straight up killed him. So yeah. For this story, I'm honestly going to go with Occam's razor here. When given two options, choose one with least assumptions. So what's easier to believe, at least in your head? That all this ghost stuff is happening and a 7 and 10-year-old are communicating with them, and all this just started happening when Mrs. Gross showed up? Or some lady showed up already like mentally unstable and then just jumped the gun in her head when she accidentally described a dead dude? I'm gonna go with that last one. Alright, bye.